Okay, so Salam Alaikum, video 10. Okay, so now, okay, so I read that. Okay, now, abandoning the children makes, leaving the children abandoned, right? By not having them listen to their mother, right? And so they can't connect to their higher consciousness, right? Because now they're not structured. The children are unstructured, right? Because it's the mother that gives structure to the children through the knowledge, right? Yeah, just like she gives structure to the body, right? When it's in her womb, right? And after that structure, teaching them and guiding them, then the knowledge goes back to the father. Just like the children came through the womb and delivered on the earth plane, that seed came back to the father. It was placed in the mother and went back to the father, right? Okay, so now, so when the children are abandoned, they're abandoned because they're not to listen to their mom, right? They're not to be influenced by the female consciousness, right? Or the consciousness in the female feminine galaxy. And if they can't understand, they don't listen to the mother, then just think about it. They're not going to get to the father. They're not going to get to the higher consciousness because they're not going to be structured enough to understand to learn how the system works. They're not going to be educated. And what do we have following the drum? A bunch of uneducated fools that's making the world a mess by following shit. They may as well place their ear up to their toilet bowl and listen to that for guidance, right? Now, so abandoning the children makes them vulnerable to the violent same draconian system. In the overwhelming instances, it is a negative, unconscious, subhumanoid cycle that has repeated itself over and time again. Okay, prevent black women and black men from exercising their galactic feminine and masculine soul power and creating a planetary energy deficit that can no longer sustain the heart, right? And that's why we see the planet dying, right? Now we can see, just like they tried to repress rap, right? Just like they tried to repress soul music, just like they tried to repress the civil rights movement, just like they tried to capture and enslave, take the Hebrews into captivity. They have been trying to suppress this soul power since, Adam was created. The black carbon atom was created when the father of shit, deceived Adam, combined his energy with Adam so that he would produce, when Adam, seed incarnate, his seed would incarnate alongside of Adam's and create a breakdown in the family of man, of Adam's family, right? Because Adam's seed was contaminated with negative energy. So every time humanity would be born, it would be contaminated, right? We're all contaminated. We have all been contaminated, some to the greater degree of others, right? But we've all been contaminated because we're all here, okay? Now, when we purify ourselves of negativity, our energy will automatically rise, right? It will rise, and we return to the consciousness of Adam prior to the consciousness falling, prior to the Kundalini falling, right? And falling asleep. Because what did it do? It was unconscious because it was disconnected from his higher consciousness, his head consciousness, right? So, when we reconnect our body and mind, our body and soul, our body and mind become whole again, born again, right? Is when we become awakened, right? And have the Christ consciousness, the consciousness of the Father, the consciousness of Adam prior to, as Allah is not the father of no man, not even the prophet born not even Prophet Isa, even if his name is pronounced with a long I, Jesus, as it's pronounced, the long I is pronounced as J, but it's really an I, and meaning Isa. But according to them, with the long J, it's Jesus. Okay? Jesus is not the son of Allah. Allah has no children, has no wife. Okay? As it said, there's no consort. Allah is one. There's no consort to have children, right? A consort is a female, entity of equally yoked. There's no equally yoked. There's nothing equally yoked to Allah. Okay? Nothing. And if the universe was bigger than the prophet born of a virgin, which it is, all that energy could not be housed in Prophet Isa. Okay? Okay. Okay, all of the universe, and you don't know how big that is. And you don't know how big that is, right? Okay, so anyway, so they disconnect them from the consciousness of the universe, the black consciousness, their divine consciousness, because they are black, made of black clay. So disconnect them from themselves is to basically cut off their heads. Okay, the Nazis cut off their own heads when they became the Antichrist. They cut off their heads, and inshallah, Allah leave their heads cut off. MashaAllah. Okay, so humanity doesn't want to follow them. Raise your Christ consciousness, and reconnect your higher consciousness. Become whole again, body and mind. Right? Okay. So now, we said okay. It is worth repeating, the representatives of the galaxies were and are not God. Just as the planets are not gods, are not Allah. Just as Prophet Isa, born of the Virgin, was not God and will not be God. And when he returns, he will be a Muslim, like the other prophets. Okay, divine man, or divine being, because he wasn't a man either. Because he didn't have a father. He was not a man. A man is born of man. He was a divine being of the body of woman. A divine being of the body of woman. Okay? So if he would have been of the body of woman, okay, his body would have been like that of woman. Right? I'm not saying a vulva, but I'm saying a body. The flesh would have been female flesh. Okay? So if he'd have got married to a woman, okay, it would have been like marrying two women. And I'm just saying his body was not of man. It was divine being and of woman flesh. We know the angel and woman flesh. Okay? It was an angel and woman flesh. Okay? Now, the galaxies nor the planets represent, nor the prophet born of a virgin with the long J called Jesus is not Allah. Okay? Nobody is Allah. No human being. No angel, no creature, no nothing. Allah is Allah. Okay? The simple they're not gods, they're not Allah. They simply represent the embodiment of the twin souls, the galactic mater or mother or mat, or Ma'at as she was called in Egypt. The galaxy was called in Egypt. Ma'at, or those who represented Ma'at, represented the divine galaxy of the mother galaxy and the father galaxy, which, mashallah, I represent Ma'at, the divine mother galaxy. How do you think, mashallah, I can tell you all this information, okay, with the crown chakra open, okay? I represent Ma'at, right? I would represent Ramadan. Okay, mashallah, as I was delivered to this planet in Ramadan, right? Crown chakra opened in Ramadan, right? As Michael represents the male galaxy, Andromeda, okay? He represents that male galaxy of Andromeda. That's why his legacy is to be followed. And that's why I follow his legacy. MashaAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I adhere to his legacy because I represent the female galaxy. He represents the masculine galaxy. And together we represent the mother and the father. Okay? So following his consciousness gets you back to the Christ consciousness, which gets you to reconnect your body and your head. Right? So the female would represent the body and the man would represent the head. Right? So you will have a whole body consciousness. Right? Okay, as it represents the manifestation of the, well, I won't say that. I'll just say the male body consciousness and the female body consciousness. Okay? The physical consciousness and the Christ consciousness as it relates to the male consciousness, the higher masculine consciousness. That's woman comes from man, right? Right. So that was represented by the King Michael Joseph Jackson, who came to deliver the prophecy, who came to deliver the message for humanity to organize, humanity to integrate, humanity to heal the world, humanity to love one another, because he knew the Christ consciousness was soon to come, just as it says Michael, the angel Michael, would come prior to the Christ coming. Okay? And Michael has come. Okay? So then you have to know the Christ consciousness will come also. Okay? And they are well aware that they knew who Michael, was the child that was to lead humanity to the Christ consciousness, right? Michael was born with the Christ consciousness. Okay? He was born with it. Okay, as he represents the Andromeda galaxy. And don't let nobody try to mislead you. Okay? There will be those who try to mislead you and try to represent that consciousness of the Christ consciousness and the Christ consciousness of the female galaxy as it relates to Isis, as it relates to the Milky Way galaxy, as it relates to Ramadan, right? No, they will not represent that. Alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I do. I do. Phenix, Queen of Queens, Phenix, Ramadan, LJackson. And mashallah, that is why Allah has allowed me to deliver these messages to you, because of my crown chakra is open. He opened my third eye. Okay? To give this information, because you need this information in this time, because you need to know what is going on and how you are being deceived and how they're trying to hurt you. Okay? How they're trying to deceive your children. Your children can't do this for themselves. They don't have enough time for what these beasts are trying to do. Okay? It is up to 2 generations that have conjoined to do this, to heal the world and to integrate humanity back into one body. Okay? The body of the Christ consciousness. Right? Okay. So now, and the black Christ consciousness, because the Christ means black, right? That's what it said to mean, black. I don't believe it means fool. I believe it means black. As I've learned. But it could. I got to do more studying. It just means I got to do more studying. I heard somebody say Christ means fool. So I got to either believe it or I got to disprove it. I can't disbelieve it because I don't know. So just like you can't disbelieve what I'm saying. You got to prove it to be right or wrong. If you don't know it, you can't just say that's stupid, that's wrong. You got to prove it. Just like somebody said in a video, Christ means fool. I always thought it meant black. So when I speak, I say it means black. Because that's what everybody says. That's wherever I go. Whenever I go do research, I find it means black. So now I got to see, somebody said it means fool. So I got to research that and see if it's right or not. I can't just say they're wrong. I got to see. I never heard it before. Anyway, so do your own research. Now, as I said, where are we at? Okay, so it's representing the galaxy. Okay, so now that's what I'm saying. The female galaxy, female galaxy represented by myself. Male galaxy represented by Michael Joseph Jackson. Okay, follow that legacy to the North consciousness. Don't let nobody else try to tell you, oh, they're the Christ consciousness. They're the Christ. They'll be the Antichrist. Okay, they will be the Antichrist. Okay. They will be the Antichrist. And they may be listening to what I say and copy what I say and try to break it down and speak this language and all this kind of stuff. Okay? But they will just be imitation. Okay? Imitation. Okay, now, so they don't want you to listen to connect with your carbon father. Okay? They want you to disconnect from everything. The Alpha and the Omega. That would be the Christ consciousness, the Alpha and the Omega. The Alpha, the male, the Omega, the woman. The Alpha would be Andromeda, the Omega would be the Milky Way. The archetypes for man and woman, male and female, okay? Each man represents the Alpha. Each woman represents the Omega, and I don't care what culture you come from. She may not be the black Omega, but she represents the Omega. Okay? Because she does the same thing as the Omega. Bears children, raises children, teaches children, okay? Guides children, protects children, all of that. Regardless of what country you come from, what culture, ethnicity you come from, you're still, as a woman, an Omega. As a male, an Alpha. Because you got that energy of Adam, right? Your black father. Okay? We all have come from Alpha Draconian. I'm not Alpha Draconian. We all come from the Father, because we all come from the semen, right? Okay. Now, so they all females represent the Omega, all males represent the Alpha of the human family, not the humanoid family, not the Nazi Zionist family, not the Nazi Vatican family, right? Okay. Now, because only the Alpha and the Omega have the black carbon pineal strong energy enough to absorb the scaled down degree of all the galactic rays and still remain sane enough to divinely transmit and channel them to all their divine humanity creatively, right? As was done with Egypt, okay? It was demonstrated by Egypt, all the ancient cultures, such as from Kush all the way to Babylon, Assyria, Samaria, and all of those ancient cultures, Persia, and all of that, right? So, and then from that it disseminated into all the world. That's the way it is with the divine consciousness of the Alpha and the Omega, as it represents the divine galaxy. Michael's work, King Michael's work, disseminated into all the world, right? All of humanity, just like the work, mashallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm doing, is disseminated into the world, right? Okay. So now, because I said that, okay, they have the ability to do that, to channel it, just like, as I said, Egypt, the mother of civilization, right? And civilization means all humanity. And all humanity came through them. And so, okay, now, and they got to do that while enduring, protecting all humanity from the stress and ugly resistance, the hatefulness and attacks of the Antichrist, the anti-human, subhumanoid, Nazi, beta, shithead, right? They got to do that while still fighting the beast, or repelling the beast. The demonic beast, Dracula beings feed free radicals. Succubus lay in wait at the top of the diamond staircase to control the root chakra opening, or the every time the root chakra opening, right? You know what I mean? The cat's eye. When the cat's eye opens, they want to be there. That's why before you engage in love making, you got to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You got to bless you got not bless, but you got to put barakah, that is Allah's name, on the love making, so that creature won't try to enter or won't try to be there to affect your offspring, right? or anything, any any so they won't try to affect any like King Michael calls it, product of love. He calls children products of love, so that outcast creature won't try to negatively, adversely affect your products of love, the products of your love. Okay, you got to put baraka, and baraka means the favor of Allah, upon your products of love. Okay, that may procreate as a result of your love making. Right now, now, okay, so they want to control the root chakra, and they want to enter to touch every being, right? Now, so the root chakra opening and closing of the celestial galactic doors, heaven's gates as they call, in order to control who comes in or who is incarnated, and who comes in the 3-story galaxy, and who gets to go out of this 3-story galaxy. So they want to be able to control who is incarnated and who dies, who lives and dies. And what they say in the end time, they would try to control who lives and dies, right? Be controlled from the cradle to the grave, as they say, right? Now, okay. Now we're going to say joyous, global time of giving. So we're giving thanks for now that the ancestrals, we've given thanks, we've recognized the ancestrals' return, okay, through their DNA or however they returned, right? We want to give thanks at Thanksgiving. What do? We have a feast together. We feast together as a family, right? We feast because of the return of the Christ consciousness, guided by the royal ancestors. We're guided home, okay, and we're going to have a grand jubilee at the summer solstice, right? 2019, but we're not going to do it in recognition of the Kushner, I call him Crookneck, the Crookneck, the Raider, the Gyrator, Crookneck, the Crooked Neck. We're not going to do it, the Crooked Neck Dragon, okay, trying to still make himself the king. So, and when you make Hajj, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make sure you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that when they sacrifice the red heifer in trying to curse the Muslims, the sacrifice, to contaminate the sacrifice of the Muslims make at Eid al-Adha in 2019, ask Allah to curse them with their trying to contaminate the sacrifice, because it's supposed to be all male animals that are sacrificed and commemorate what Prophet Abraham was the ram he was given to spare his son's life, which in reality spared all humanity, because from Prophet Ishmael came Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and through Prophet Muhammad all the good news, all the gospel, the Christ consciousness goes to the world, because Prophet Isa came to give the Christ consciousness, to renew the Christ consciousness with the Hebrews. Musa came to free the Hebrews, and Musa came to free the Hebrews and give them the 10 Commandments. Isa came to renew those 10 Commandments. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to distribute all that 10 Commandments and the Gospels to all humanity. Okay, so just like the three constellations, that is the 12-step staircase that is divided into 3 planes: the cardinal, the fixed, and the mutable plane. Just that the cardinal plane would be like the First Testament, or the First Testament would be like the mutable plane. The mutable plane. The fixed plane would be like the Prophet Isa would be like the fixed plane. Then the cardinal plane, which all humanity is born on, would be like the Third Testament of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? That is to return with Prophet Isa, okay? The Christ consciousness, right? Okay, so we're having a joyous new beginning. So if they try to sacrifice that so-called red female heifer, okay, ask Allah to curse them and to destroy them and to protect Islam for them trying to contaminate all humanity and the Ummah and their sacrifice, thereby contaminate the covenant Allah made with Prophet Abraham, all right? And breaking that covenant, then they think they can destroy all humanity, okay? And they're trying to steal the legacy of the Hebrews and the land of the Palestinians and the whole, put shit on the throne. Ask Allah to curse them when they do that, okay? Ask Him to curse the Antichrist when you throw those stones at that spot where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw that creep, the shit, right? So ask Allah to curse them. Remember that, so that they don't get any human soul power. Okay. Now, okay. So the head is guiding the head of humanity, or the North Node is guiding humanity away from Babylonian, German, Nazi, Vatican culture of death, anti-love, anti-social, anti-human, anti-Christ, anti-nature, that polarizes and is very destructive, a very destructive consciousness, and as it's represented by the South Node in Capricorn with Saturn and Pluto, and neither of those planetary bodies play with it when it comes to taking taking life sacred. They take life very serious when it comes to the sacredness of life. Okay, Saturn is the one with the sword. Pluto represents death. Death is at Capricorn. Don't go that direction. The Antichrist, shit, is at that direction and is trying to lead the body into war by cutting off his consciousness, by making it focus on the Antichrist, making it focus on shit, making it focus on war, making it focus on trade war with China, arms race with Russia, environmental, breaking the Paris peace agreements, by breaking the peace agreements, by climate peace agreements or something like that, Paris climate deal, and all of these other agreements with the what was that other one? There's another one. NAFTA with Canada and then the immigrants from Mexico, just creating all this havoc. Stay away from that. Don't support it. If the Nazis support the Antichrist, when the Antichrist goes down, so will the Nazis. So will the Nazis, and they're going to be surprised. And don't embrace them at all. Okay. So that being said, I will say, Alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this video is done. This series of video is done. I will say salam alaikum to mashallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Salam alaikum to the family of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Salam alaikum to the Sahabas, radiallahu anhu, salam and radiallahu anha, to all the family females of Prophet Muhammad's ear. Salam alaikum to my father. Salam alaikum to Hamza. Salam alaikum to my most beloved King Michael Joseph Jackson, Michael Yusuf Jacobson, Jacob's son, the king of the Hebrews, the king of Israel, okay? The king east and west, the king that inherits the legacy of Prophet Abraham, Prophet Isa, Prophet to deliver humanity to the Christ consciousness when he embraced Islam, mashallah, the one to lead humanity to the Christ consciousness. Follow the legacy, okay? And joyous new beginning, joyous new celestial beginning, Mona Ahmed Hussein, Allah show you great compassion. Allah show you mercy. Allah show you love. Allah show you protection. Allah show all of humanity protection. Salaam alaikum to you, all humanity. Salaam alaikum to the Ummah. Salaam alaikum to the Jackson Global Pride. Salaam alaikum to the Jackson Global Pride. As it is, Kingdom, the rainbow, the purple rainbow, Kingdom 52. The Global Kingdom, Rainbow 52. Okay? So, let's follow the North Node, stay away from the South Node, the trouble at the South Node, the consciousness, no matter what type of temptation you may be to regress, know that it's only harm at that position. Okay? That's the body. That's where the shit is. Stay away from it. Follow the higher consciousness. The higher consciousness is in the world. Okay, it has been delivered into the world as of January 28th. Okay, January 28th, which was Safa 29, and that was no, it was Safa 24 at that time. Safa 24 in 2011. Okay, it was delivered into the world January 28th, 2011. Safa 24 2000 and Safa 24 and 1434. Okay, that was 7/7 1434, right? So because 3 and 4 is 7, and then 1437, right? So humanity, we got to be very wise, and we got to stay united, and we got to do not elect death into the office, the Oval Office. Okay, it's time to kick it. Keep death out of the remove death from the house of I don't want to say that of my drink, but remove death out of the house, right? Kick death out of the house. This is so good. Anyway. Excuse me. Sorry. So, I want to say... my throat is so dry I can barely swallow. So, we want to kick death out of the house. Okay? We want to get it out of the house. Don't elect it in the house. Okay? Don't let death back in the house. Just don't elect it back in the house. Once its term is over, let it be done with it. We kick the Antichrist out, and we, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, prepare for the resurrection. Not the resurrection, but the regeneration. Not even the rebuilding of the for this new age of Aquarius, right? Because we got a lot of work to prepare for. We got a lot of work to prepare for, because we got to prepare for the for wormwood. Got to prepare for the polar shift. Got to prepare to save as many lives as we possibly can. Then we got to prepare healing the earth. So there's a lot of work to be done besides focusing on war, focusing on trade wars, focusing on breaking up peace agreements. We need to make more peace agreements, okay? And not the peace agreements between Zionists and the Palestinians. No peace agreement there. Don't make peace with them, okay? Because they don't want peace. They just want to tie your hands and use the Wahhabi Sauds to do it, okay? No. It's better to learn to live off the land again, rather than to worry about getting some type of foreign aid from the Wahhabis, who are just basically getting the money from the Trump regime, right? Getting the money from the Trump regime. So we're going to say Salaam Alaikum and wish you all well, and I hope you enjoy the video.